Hey guys, so this is chapter 4, lesson 5. We're going to convert measurement units. The essential question for this chapter is, what does it mean to multiply and divide fractions? Okay, for this lesson, just like all the lessons before, we have two goals. You're going to convert larger units into smaller units, and then go the other way around with goal number 2. Go from smaller to larger. There are two vocabulary words for this lesson. The first one is unit ratio, and that's where the denominator is, well, it ends with 1. And you're talking about 1 unit. So for example, 3 feet, 1 yard. So we're talking about 1 unit of measurement, a yard in this case. And 3 feet is the same as 1 yard, the unit, 1, unit 1. Dimensional analysis, and it's a big word for basically saying you're using the units of measurement when you're doing the multiplication, okay? If it doesn't make sense, don't worry, it will, okay? What's going to happen is you're going to go, let's say, from feet to inches. So you're going to use feet in your multiplication and to get rid of it. I know it sounds weird, right? But it'll make sense once you see it. All right. If you notice on page 290, I will give you some advice on page 290. If you can see it. I'm not going to copy it here. You can copy it yourself. I suggest you copy that chart. Okay. Copy chart here. You might want to use a separate page. Okay. There are 3 main units to worry about. Length, weight, and capacity. So we can zoom in on that. You have length, weight, and capacity. Okay? And just to explain this chart a little bit. So the bigger unit is, like, for example, a foot. The smaller unit would be inches. Okay? Now if you notice, when you have a larger unit, think of it as a larger box. You can put more things in that box. Okay? So 12 inches would be a smaller unit. So you need more of these to make one of these, the bigger one. Okay? Just like a dozen eggs, 12 eggs make 1 dozen. The dozen would be the larger unit. Eggs would be the smaller unit. Okay? So just keep that in mind. But here we go. And I'm going to write what you just saw on that chart. 3 main units of measurement. Now, for this especially, you can't just attack the numbers. You really have to understand what you're doing. Okay? So we're talking about length. Right? So when you do the word problems, are we talking about length? What does that mean? Now, I could give you a textbook definition. Let me tell you what it means to me, and then later on in your own notes, on the side perhaps, or around it, you can make circles, highlight whatever you want to add. Length. I always think of it as distance. Okay? And that's pretty much it. Distance. How long? How far? How wide? I mean, as you write these down, think of examples. When would you ask how long is something? When would you ask how far is something? Okay, and what units of measurement would you be using for that? How wide? Okay. Now, the other one is weight. Okay, now I could get technical with you. Okay. But let's just keep it simple. Weight is basically mass. How much stuff do you have? Right? Now, this isn't quantity, okay? It's like, what am I saying when I say that? It's not quantity. You can have, for example, let me put an example, e.g. example, 3 lemons. Okay? But 3 lemons can weigh 1 pound. Okay? This is the unit of measurement. Mass. 1 pound. It's not quantity. It's not like how much or how many. It's how much. Okay? So, I'll put this on the side here so you remember. It's not quantity. when you're talking about mass, when you're talking about weight. It's not quantity. Okay? Hope that makes sense. But again, how much stuff do you have? 1 pound. Usually use the words, well, we already used it right there, pound, ounces, ton, okay, and so forth and so on. And the last one is capacity. Okay, now you're like, oh, wait a minute, what's capacity? This would be dealing with liquids and gases. All right. Very similar to weight. It's basically how much do you have? But we're talking about liquids and gases. Although the funny thing is, if you measure water, like let's say you have a liter of water, that'll have its own mass as well. Okay? But two different things. I know it's a little confusing right now, but it'll make sense the more we do this. How much liquid and gas do you have? And I don't want to get too technical. I just want you to understand the big picture. And you know what? Since I put mass, let me put down. Usually we're talking about solids, okay? So, liquids and gases, how much liquid and gas do you have? Now for this one, you're going to see, again, if you buy sodas, you have liters. I put 1 liter because I've seen a lot of you drink liter bottles of Coke, and that's kind of crazy, but hey, who am I to judge? Pint, quarts. If you eat ice cream from Ben & Jerry's, that little quart containers, that's about a quart right there. Okay, a big one. Also, if you cook a lot, cups, and so forth and so on. So for the quiz, consider we're talking about length, weight, and capacity. All right, now we go to goal number 1. Goal number 1. We're going from a larger unit to smaller. Larger to smaller. Okay, now the best way to do this, you have to think of 2 things. Where are you starting? And the other question is, where do you want to end? Now, guys, as I explain this, I'm going to take a really long time. Yeah, I know some of you are going to like it, but I want to make sure you get this, okay? So, for example, you have example number 1, page 290. Don't worry, I won't do too many examples because I really want you to do the work on your own. And guys, just like I've been saying, the best way to learn this is to just do it yourself, okay? And if you don't get it, by all means, please ask. I am ready to help you, okay? So we have convert 20 feet to inches, okay? Feet to inches. Feet to inches. Okay, now I just said you have to consider, where do you start? Where do you end? Okay. We start with feet. We want to end with inches. Okay. Larger to smaller. Okay. Now, I have a feeling some of you still might not understand the idea. What do you mean by larger, smaller? Okay. Best way to think of this. Let me tell you what's going on. In 1 foot, well, not 1 feet, 1 foot, you have, it's the same as 12 inches. So you need 12 of these units to get one of these larger units, okay? So 1 foot is 12 inches. Now, in case you forget or you didn't know that, like I said on page 290, there's this chart. 1 foot, 12 inches. Now, some of these you should just memorize, okay? There's so many units of measurement, and there's no way I'd expect you to memorize all of them. But these are the most basic that you'll need to know, okay? But anyways, let's just go from there. All right, so we start with feet, we end with inches. All right, we have 20 feet. That's what we're starting with, okay? And guys, the key here is you're going to be working with ratios. The key to doing this right is ratios. One thing to another. So we want to go from 20 feet to inches at the end here. That's what we don't know. We don't know how many inches we're going to have, okay? We're going from feet to inches. All right. Now, here's the crazy part. This is about ratios, right? 20 feet, we know it's the same as, well, you want to go to inches, so the unit for inches has to be on top. That's what we want to have, okay, inches. Bear with me, you'll see why in just a moment, okay? And we got to ask yourself, okay, we have inches, and according to the chart, you can compare feet with inches directly. Okay, that's equal. You have an equality right there. All right. Well, we know that 12 inches are in 1 foot, so that's a good place to start. Okay. All right. Now, where do we go from here? Earlier, we had dimensional analysis. Remember we talked about this? You're going to multiply units if possible. But you want to basically do this. You're going to be using them as factors. You're going to cancel factors out. Okay? Feet is the same as feet there. So they cancel out. Right? So we have 20 times 12. And don't worry, I'm going to do this again because I think I might have lost you some already. I might have lost some of you. Because you're thinking, wait, what just happened here? So don't worry, I'm going to do this real fast and I'll slow it down. All right. And you've done this. This is the last lesson we did. You change the whole number to a fraction, 20 over 1 times 12 to 1. If you do the math correctly, you're going to have 240. 20 times 12 is 140 times inches. And 1 times 1 is just 1. So the final answer is 240 inches. Okay. So let me do this a little slower. I'm going to do the same thing again. You're going to see me do it a little different, I hope. Okay. We know we have 20 feet. Okay. What's 20 feet equal to? Well, 20 feet is the same as 20 feet. Kind of obvious, right? That should make sense. 20 feet is the same as 20 feet, obviously. But we're going to change the feet to inches. So we're going to get rid of the feet. We have to cancel that out. We don't want feet anymore. Somehow we don't want to have one on the top, one on the bottom, so they cancel each other out. Remember when we did fractions a while ago, and I said if you want, when you put the same numbers on top and bottom, when the numerator is the same as the denominator, you get 1? That's what's happening here. Foot over a foot, it canceled each other out. You have just 1. So you don't even have to write it. It's just, you know it's there. Okay? All right. But we want inches, right? Now, luckily, we do have a unit of the conversion in the chart. We do have that here in the conversion chart, right? It's customary. It's traditional. Go from feet to inches, inches to feet. But you can go from miles to inches if you wanted to. That's a little bit more complicated, but it can be done. Okay? Now, one thing. You can't convert, as far as I know, now I could be wrong later, you can't go from weight to length. That doesn't make sense. It's different units of measurement. Okay? So you can't convert miles into pounds. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, well, what if you measure the amount of cement you use to build a mile-long freeway? Now, that would be a different issue. Now you're just weighing the cement. You're not necessarily converting the mile itself into weight. Okay? But anyways, let's keep this simple. You can't go from length to weight, weight to volume. Okay? For now. Later on, like I just said, there are exceptions, but for right now, just keep it simple. Keep length with length, weight with weight, capacity with capacity. Okay? For now. Later on, you'll see there's other ways to go from whatever you want to whatever you want. Okay? Anyways, we do know in 12 inches we have 1 foot. And here we go again. It's what we just saw. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. You're like, wait a minute, this doesn't have a denominator. Remember, when you have a whole number, you put a 1 under it and you're good to go. And there you go. Same thing, 240 inches. Is there another way to do this? Yes. Yes, there is. Okay. Now, this is what the book shows you. This is what the book shows you. Let me show you another way. And I know some of you, they're showing us too many ways. You're going to get confused. If you do this, you figure out what works best for you. All right. This is what I would do. Another way to look at this. 20 feet equals how many inches? That's what we don't know. Okay. We do know that 1 foot, and I'm going to put feet just for now. Just for the sake, you know what? No, let's be proper. 1 foot is 12 inches. Do you remember we did this something like this? Very similar. Okay. You can ask yourself, to go from 1 to 20, what do I have to do? I multiply by 20, right? Now, I can do this because the units are the same. Right? And then same thing here. 12 times 20. Just do the math real fast. Same answer. Okay? Take what you want, write it out, put down what you have, or what you know works. Okay? And if you do that, you'll get what you need. So we have 20 feet. I want to convert it to inches. Why would I want to do that? Maybe you have to cut this up into inches. I don't know. We have to get word problems. I'll be honest, I'm not that creative to figure something out right now. But I know how to do it. Like at this point, I'm being a calculator. Now, hopefully, at the end of this lesson, we'll both be better than calculators, okay? I'm working with you guys. We're going to grow and learn this together. Although I already know it, but you know what I mean. Okay, anyways. So another way to look at it, okay? Write down what you need. You have 20 feet. You need to know inches. Okay, great. What do we know? We know that 1 foot is 12 inches. I'm keeping feet with feet, inches with inches. You know? And I'm probably going to kill me with this. Another way to look at this. 1 foot. It's a ratio, proportional. 1 foot is 12 inches. If we have 20 feet, how many inches do we have? Kind of like what we just did right now, just another way to look at it, okay? You choose the way that works best for you. This would be the traditional, write down what you have, write down the conversion factors, and then do what you got to do. Okay, that was a lot of time for one problem. We'll do one more. Okay, letter B. Whew. This is page 290 still? Page 290? Got it, letter B. Okay. 3/4 ton equals how many pounds? Now, I know the book wrote it a little differently, but I just want to let you know, if you're not sure, pounds, when you see the LB, that's pound. Okay, so I'll rewrite it with the correct units. Okay. Okay. So you're like, now what? I'm going to do it the traditional way first, okay? 3/4 tons is equal to what? It's the same as 3/4 of a ton times. Now we know I want to get rid of tons because I don't want tons anymore. I want pounds. Okay, I want pounds at the end. Okay, so I'm going to put the ton here, and I'm going to put the pound here, LB. Now I'm going to look at my chart. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Okay, all right, let's work with that. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Okay, 1 ton, there's my unit ratio, 2,000 pounds. Okay, now, before you panic, not a big deal. The tons cancel out. You're left with 3/4 times 2,000 over 1. Okay? Now, technically, this would be over 1 as well, because even though it's not a whole number, right, it really should be 3/4 over 1 times 2,000 over 1. Okay? So technically, if you want to be correct, you should put a 1 under that, right? But let's just forget it for now. But it works out either way. When you have 1 times 1, you're still going to see what I showed you earlier. The denominator still stays 1, right? Because 1 times 1 is 1. Three-quarters times 2,000. Now what is that? And don't forget the unit of measurement. Excuse me. You have a whole number. Put a 1 under it. Okay. In the other lesson, I mentioned that you should simplify before you multiply. If you can do that, this makes this math problem so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do it both ways. Simplify first and see what happens. The 4 and the 2,000, I know they have a common factor of 4. How do I know that? Because I've done this enough times with my times tables that you just pick it up. You can divide this by 4, divide this by 4. Okay? You get 3 over 1 times 500 over 1. You get 1,500 over 1, 1,500 pounds. That's if you simplify first. But let's say you didn't do that. So here you'd have 6,000 over 4. Now you know what's going to happen next, right? Trust me on this, you're going to get the same thing. Okay? Now if you notice, I'm not spending too much time. Oh, by the way, on the quiz, you need to use the unit of measurement that you want. If on the quiz you forget to write the symbols or write the unit of measurement, you're going to get it wrong. Okay? Anyways. I spent a long time with this. You're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Now we're going to go the other way around, okay? We're going to go, this is goal number 2. I apologize. From smaller units to larger units. Okay. I'm only going to do a couple because I realized the video is all like 25 minutes long. All right. I'll just give you one example. Convert 15 quarts to gallons. Okay. All right. Here we go. We start with quarts. This is where we start. Now, by the way, do you have to do this on the quiz, right? Start and where you finish? No, but I just like to stay organized. Quarts. I want to end with gallons. This is keeping me organized, so I know where I start and where I need to end. Okay, 15 quarts, gallons, not bad. Now, according to the chart, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. Okay, now let me show you in case you're like, what? Trust but verify. Let me show you the proof. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So let me do this traditional way, and then I'll show you my way of doing things, and then hopefully you can make up your own way. 15 quarts is the same as 15 quarts times, now we got to put quart at the bottom so that the units cancel out. Remember that? Now I just showed you in the conversion chart that there is a unit that goes with quarts and gallons. Okay, so there's a conversion that goes from quarts to gallons and gallons to quarts, vice versa. All right, now if you remember, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. All right? This makes sense, I hope. It should make sense that this is the smaller unit. You're going to need more smaller units to fit into the larger unit. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right, now here's the deal. You're going to multiply across. You have 15 times 1. Again, there's my 1 under it, just to keep it nice and honest. And don't forget the gallon. Now, why didn't I write the quart? Remember, they canceled out. Gone. All right. 15 times 1 is 15 over 4. Now, this is an improper fraction. Okay. You know you have to divide. Okay. And there you go. Now, here's a question. We're working with fractions. Now, I realize some of you can right away change this to a decimal number. You might want to be tempted to do this. But I'm going to ask you on the quiz, keep it as fractions. I want you to keep practicing with fractions. Okay? But anyways, there's your answer. Okay? Now, will this work the other way I showed you guys? Maybe, maybe not. Let me just do this real fast. Let's work on it. See what happens. 15 quarts. How many gallons? Excuse me, should be a question mark. What do we know? We know 4 quarts is 1 gallon. Yeesh. I can't think of anything it can scale up to. But let's try something else. That didn't work. This is a no. Nope. What about as a ratio? 4 to 1. 15. Okay. How many gallons? It's a ratio. You could do this if you want. It depends how good you are. Or I shouldn't say. That's the wrong thing to say. It depends on how comfortable you are with what I'm going to do right now. To go from 4 to 15, I know I have to multiply by something. 4 times what gives me 15? Well, guess what? You're going to have to divide 15 by 4. Don't worry. I think some of you might see where I'm going with this. Oh. Oh, yeah. Didn't we already do this? But 1 times that, of course, is going to give you. Guys, I guess what I'm trying to say here, many ways to do this. You find the way that works for you, okay? Now, me personally, honestly, maybe just because I'm old-fashioned, I like going the old-fashioned route, the way the book shows you. It's nice and organized. I can see the units. I can see where I start. I can see where I need to end. and it's all about canceling out units. Okay? Now, I should have been doing this in pencil, but again, it's hard to record pencil, so I use pen instead. But later on, when you get to chemistry, you're going to be converting between different units. Some of these things are going to go super long. But it's kind of a puzzle. So if you like puzzles, you'll be fine. Okay? And I guess that's about it for this lesson. I hope this helped.